Hello, my friends. There's breaking news out of Rome where Pope Leo has taken on the issue of China, Catholics in China. Yesterday, Pope Leo XIV gave the first sign that he is willing to take on the debacle left by Pope Francis regarding the Catholic Church in China, which has suffered under the secret China-Vatican deal that was set up by disgraced Cardinal McCarrick and approved and perpetuated by Pope Francis and Cardinal Parolin, the current Vatican Secretary of State. After praying the Regina Caeli on Sunday, Pope Leo XIV proved that he is, let's say, quite the diplomat. He first spoke about a Polish martyr under the communists, and then he went on to talk about the Catholic suffering in China. It was a brilliant and pointed critique of the communist government in China, which is the same, at the same time, his critique was both politically veiled, of course, but yet it was painfully obvious. Here is exactly what he said. Yesterday in Poznan, Stanisław Kostka-Strych, a diocesan priest killed in hatred of the faith in 1938 because his work on behalf of the poor and workers irritated followers of the communist ideology was beatified. May his example inspire priests in particular to give themselves generously in the service of the gospel and their brothers and sisters. Also yesterday, the Pope went on the liturgical memorial of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Help of Christians, we celebrated the Day of Prayer for the Church in China, established by Pope Benedict XVI. In churches and shrines throughout China and around the world, prayers were offered to God as a sign of concern and affection for Chinese Catholics and their communion with the Universal Church. May the intercession of Mary Most Holy, said the Pope, obtain for them and for us the grace to be strong and joyful witnesses of the gospel, even in the midst of trials, so that we may always promote peace and harmony. Just a few days ago, Nina Shea, director of the Center for Religious Freedom at the Hudson Institute, was on the Raymond Arroyo show on EWTN, suggesting that Pope Leo XIV use the goodwill he has right now and address the scandalous Vatican-China deal. Her talking points to Raymond Arroyo demonstrate how truly awful this Vatican scandal really is. Watch.
It's to share power in the appointment of bishops. And we do know that the government, the communist, officially atheistic government of China, has the upper hand in this. They have been appointing bishops without the Pope's consent. And in the case of Shanghai, which is the most important Catholic diocese, the largest one, it's the oldest one in China, they have the this Patriotic Association Bishops' Conference president as the bishop, and he appointed himself essentially.
But it gets worse still. Not only did the Vatican under Francis throw Chinese faithful Catholics under the bus, but they lied about it. Watch.
This gets so little reportage, Nina. I'm stunned. And I think it's part of the Vatican doesn't want to talk about it. The bishops don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about these suffering people in China. But we have to. You write at least 10 Chinese Catholic bishops are currently in indefinite detention or otherwise restricted in their ministries for opposing the government control over the church. There are also bishops who have died in the past 7 years, and those sees are just vacant. The Vatican and China have only replaced about a dozen of them, and there are, I think, something like 30 bishoprics open, empty.
Yeah.
What is the latest on the detention of these bishops? And is the Vatican at all involved in trying to gain their release?
Well, no, the answer is no. The Vatican is silent on this, and it's worse than silence. They covered it up, and I really want to emphasize this because when Cardinal Parolin was asked at a press conference in 2020 about persecution of the church, he denied frankly denied that there was persecution. He said there's only regulation.
The repression of the faith, so blatant in China, you can see it as nothing more than a direct effort on the part of the communists to destroy Catholicism. Listen to just a few of the details from Nina Shea.
They're quoting Xi Jinping as the president of China in their sermons. They have to. That's what they're told to do now. They have to ban children from the churches. How will they perpetuate the faith? How will they keep the orthodoxy, the magisterium of the teaching authority of the church?
Well, and insidiously, Beijing appointed 2 new bishops to seats already occupied by legitimate Catholic bishops the day after Pope Francis's death, okay, when there was no pope to give an approval, up or down.
Did you catch that? Children are banned from churches in China. China's sermons must quote the communist leader. Children are banned? I mean, this is totally insane. They want to destroy the church. There's no way around it. And the fact is that those 2 bishops that were appointed and have been removed are now reappointed, you'd say, the day after Francis died. So here's Nina Shea on how the Pope should respond.
I don't think he should approve them. I think he should say that we have bishops there in these dioceses. You've bypassed them. They are in detention. Bishop Zhang in Xinjiang diocese in Henan, he was taken away and hasn't been seen since 2021. He had cancer surgery when he was recuperating from that when they took him. He is still alive. He's still the bishop there. And then in Shanghai, the same thing was the other appointment was for Shanghai. There are 2 bishops now who are living and who have been papally approved, who served with the government's permission briefly. In one case, it was less than a day. The other, but he was a member of the Patriotic Association. And he has now been in prison for 11, 12 years in a seminary, isolated, wow. and cannot serve as his ministry at all.
And just so people can understand, what this means is there was an authentically appointed and consecrated bishop. We're going back to the 90s in one of these cases, 91, I believe, he was appointed bishop, right? It
was 2011 and 2012 in Shanghai.
Okay, that most recent,
yeah.
Okay. But again, these are bishops of vintage. They didn't just show up yesterday. They've been disappeared, and in their place, the communist authorities have appointed new bishops. And the Vatican is poised to accept them. This is unbelievable. And the fact that the Vatican is accepting the cover-up and the repression of the church in China.
So will Pope Leo now revisit and deny those appointments? Well, that remains to be seen. But what we can and have seen is that Father Chris Alar, in that viral now video on Pope Leo, saying that he was both sort of conservative and progressive, was exactly right. Because even though Pope Leo just decides to take on, at least a little bit in a diplomatic way, the debacle that's going on in China, at the very same time, in the very same address, he threw a bone to the radical environmentalists who were sort of activated by Pope Francis with his encyclical Laudato Si. 10 years ago, said Pope Leo, Pope Francis signed the encyclical letter Laudato Si, devoted to care for our common home. It has had an extraordinary impact, he says, inspiring countless initiatives and teaching everyone to listen to the twofold cry of the earth and of the poor. And so, as you can see, Father Alar was exactly correct. You have sort of a more conservative attitude with Leo and a progressive one, and we'll have to see where it goes. There's lots of praying to be done by faithful Catholics for Pope Leo, and we will continue to remain vigilant here at LifeSite News. Stay tuned for all the details and breaking news. For LifeSite News, this is John Henry Weston, and may God bless you.